Got it.
We have a few people trickling in,
Okay.
for surely.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us at the Source for our Wednesday webinar series. Good morning. As you come in, let us know the name of your business and where you're coming from. What area of the Cook County are you in? Are there more people trickling in?
No, it's kind of held off.
Okay. I'll give it another minute and we'll see, and then we can get started. Good morning. Happy Hump Day Wednesday. We thank you all for joining us on today. All right, I'm going to get started. So, welcome everyone. My name is Dominique Gamble. I am the program manager for the Cook County Small Business Source. Once again, thank you all for joining us on the call. We have my two colleagues, Miss Mercedes McClure, who will be assisting us in our question and answer portion, as well as Valeria. And then we have Miss Cherie Morato. Did I say your last name correct, Cherie?
You sure did.
All right. From Rogers Park, correct? Okay. We have so many wonderful partners. I want to make sure I'm not getting anyone confused, but she has a wonderful webinar training for you all on how to create a one-page business plan, which is amazing. So I thank you all for joining us. We are ready to get started. Again, this is our Wednesday webinar series that we host on the last Wednesday of every month. So if you enjoy what you see today, we ask that you also join us next month, where you can find our next series that we will be hosting in June. All right, so Cook County Small Business Source. Hopefully, most of you have already heard of us. If not, here is a brief overview of what we provide through the Source, is what we call it. That's our little name, the Source. We offer free one-on-one business coaching and advising. We offer resources, free resources that you are able to take advantage of today, which is a webinar, in-person events, or the like. We also have free in-person, as you see, events. You see here, I plugged our Webinar Wednesday series. The Doing Business with Government is one of the series that we did in March. So if you missed that, you can catch it on our YouTube page. That will be available to you, as well as this recording afterwards. And then we offer access to capital opportunities. We had a Source grant that opened last year. It closed this past December. We just finished dispensing our last funds. I believe it was early April. So we do also have partners who are connected to the Source who also offer access to capital opportunities. So if that is something that you all need, Ms. Cherie here or any of our other wonderful partners through the Source are able to get you all connected within our network, and we can get you going. So this is just a little bit about the source grant that that just passed. I'm gonna go over real quick for you all. So we offered $50 million to small businesses in Cook County. We awarded 3,000 businesses. We had a grant budget that increased mid-project. So initially we were going to award $40 million. President Winkle saw the need. We had a lot of people asking and calling in and emailing, asking for additional monies. So we added additional $10 million into that bucket, which is what gave us the overall total of $50 million to support 500 more businesses. All of the awards went to small businesses that we call micro businesses that have fewer than 20 employees. Typically, the source we have shown in our work that we work with small businesses that have 10 or fewer employees. So seeing 20 was really a good increase. It allowed us to see that we are touching those communities that need the help and those small businesses. This is a few of the testimonials just so you can see some of the work that we're doing here through the source. I'm not going to read them all, but I'll put them here so you can see it. We have one business that said, "You kept my business alive. I will be able to continue to do the work that I love to do." That was Diamond Cuisine. We had a fitness social. "This will give my business the oomph to grow and keep providing jobs." This is why we do what we do. These are the things that we love to hear so that we know that the work that we're doing is valuable for you all, the small businesses. Here's a quick little review of our impact numbers from since we started. So the source was actually created in 2020 during COVID. Cook County saw the need to assist small businesses. At that time, it was to assist small business with continuing to survive in that moment. Now we are taking it for small businesses from surviving to thriving, and we're loving the shift that we're seeing. I'm sure Cherie will be able to vouch for that. We now have business owners who are ready to go to the next level. They're trying to get employees. They need legal assistance. They're expanding their business. They're scaling up, and it is just a wonderful thing to see. So since the conception of this program in September of 2020, we have helped over 67 million businesses, and this is as of December 2023. So our numbers have increased because it is now May, and we will be doing our review shortly, and you all can see our more increased impact of work that we're doing. But since September 2020 to December 2023, we have served over 16,000 small businesses through one-on-one coaching as well as events such as this. We have 67,000 businesses have been reached and touched through door knocking, phone calls, newsletters, e-blasts, and the like. 77% of those business owners are people of color. 62% of those businesses are women-owned businesses. And as I stated earlier, 94% of our micro businesses that come through the source have less than 10 employees. This is just a quick view of the demographics that we serve here through the source thus far. We do see that's changing, daily. So 35% are Black-owned business owners, 4% are Asian, 29% are Hispanic or Latino descent business owners. We have 15% that identify as other, non-white. We have 6% that identify as two or other, and 11% identify as white. So we are really excited about the work that we're doing, the diversity of the small business owners that we are assisting throughout Cook County. The numbers are growing, and we're just looking to just continue to increase the work that we're doing. This is just a quick view of our source partner network. At the top are what we call our business advisors, our BSOs, business service organizations. They do the one-on-one business advising through the source. They're the ones that you will contact that will help you work directly with your small business and your small business needs. Cherie will talk a little bit more about that as she goes through our program for today. And then at the bottom, you see our referral partners. Our referral partners are those throughout Cook County that help us get the word out. I always tell people take a quick picture. You can see who's in your area that works in small business that can help you, with whatever issue that you need. They pretty much are connected to the city, the state, and the county. So all of these small businesses, and these are also local chambers who can also direct you to additional assistance and opportunities as well. And this is just a few of our impact stories, people who we've assisted through the source. We have Pink Paniti. She came through the Southland Development, one of our partners. She's a source grant winner, and she also just opened her second restaurant called Crabs and Cocktails in the Southland suburban area. We have Freedom Lee State of Mind. She came through Berwyn. She came through the Berwyn Shops in 2023. And we have Miss PSG Free, who came through Chicago Minority Supplier. She is a gluten-free, how do you say that? She provides like the nuts and all gluten-free foods, and she used to actually be a Cook County employee many years ago through the jail system, and she left the prison system and started her own business, and she is doing fabulous. So this is just a few of other people that you can see visually who we helped through the source, and we're hoping that you will be next. These are some of our grant winners of the 3,000 that we helped who's saying they got an impact. They got a grant. We are happy that we made an impact. And again, we are looking to see what we can help do for you next. If you have not already signed up with the source, you can scan the scan code here. It will take you to business advising where you can sign up to work with Cherie once she's done, or you can sign up as you see it circled here for updates on newsletters, e-blasts. Stay connected with what we're doing. We have an event here that lets you know all of the events that all of our wonderful partners are doing, and they are all free. So these are ways that you can stay connected to the source if you are not already. And that is the end of me. I thank you all, and I am going to pass it on over now, and I'm going to end my sharing. Thank you.
Thank you, Dominique. That was great. And hi, everyone. My name is Sherry Murato. Let me get myself together here. From beginning. Hello. All right. So as Dominique said, my name is Sherry Murato. I'm the Sustainability Director at Rogers Park Business Alliance. And hang on just a sec. My wrong screen came up. All right. This has got to be it, right? Oh, sorry, everybody. And today we are going to create a one-page business plan. So Rogers Park Business Alliance is a nonprofit organization. We're on the far northeast side of the city, and one of the things I do there is facilitate our entrepreneurial training program called Grow Progresando. Grow is the English-speaking version of the program. Progresando is Spanish, and this is a no-cost entrepreneurial training program that we offer. We are funded by all these amazing partners from the cities to the Community Trust to the Coleman Foundation, the source, of course, which is why I am here, the state, the Fund for Equitable Business Growth, SBDCs, SBA. I mean, the great thing about this is that it kind of indicates that we have a far reach and a lot of collaborators around the city, county, and state. So sometimes you just need a referral someplace, and you can just reach out to me or Dominique, and we can hook you up with what you need. But today, let's get to the one-page business plan. And just so you know, we are going to send you slides, and actually, you're going to use the Q&A. If you have questions, if you have comments, if you need anything, just put it in the Q&A. Mercedes and Valeria will make sure that we get the answer to the question that you have. All right. So a one-page business plan. Is it a dream come true? Possibly. Let's hope so. So in this hour workshop or thereabouts, we'll explore the business model canvas template. You may have seen this before. You may have seen it never. I don't know, but we're just going to put it out there today so that you know what it's all about, and you can decide how this tool can help you figure out how to operate your business, assess if your idea is viable, and maybe even identify some gaps and opportunities that you didn't think of before. And it's quick, right? The whole concept of this is that you should be able to whack this out in, not very long a period of time, which is I'm going to demonstrate today. So basically, the business model canvas template is composed of 9 building blocks that, when you complete them, provides you with a lean business model, if you will, a lean business plan. It is great for planning for your business if you've got one or you don't have one. If you have a product or service you want to launch, or you want to add to something that you're already doing. It can also help you do a better job of identifying your market, who really are your customers. It also is great for the rapid creation of new concepts. And ultimately, it helps you understand if whatever these ideas you have are viable. Will they work? So for the purposes of today's presentation, I'm going to use this relatively kind of attractive visual. It is not the greatest in terms of actual use of it, but it's nice to look at. What I'm going to send you at the end of this, though, is this. Who wants to look at that during a presentation? But the great thing about this version of this template is that it has leading questions. It's a writable form. You can, like literally just start typing in it when you receive it. But we're not going to look at it through the presentation, or all of our brains would, leak out of our ears or something. So back to this more happy looking form that we're going to use for today. So we're going to start with step 1, which is right in the middle of this whole thing, and it's the value proposition. It's the core of your business, and basically this is where you want to start, or the core of your idea, if it's an idea that you have. Basically, what you want to do is answer the question, what problem is this going to solve for my customer? Or another way of thinking of it is, what need is this going to meet for a potential customer? So as you can see, it's right here. See, I've cleverly made it red so that it's a slightly different jarring color to draw your attention. So we're going to start right there in the middle, the little gift that keeps on giving, your value proposition. What problem will or does your business solve for your customers? If you've got a value proposition that you'd like to share with the group, just throw it in the Q&A. For today's purposes, I always have a fake business ready to go. And I'm going to talk about my business idea for salty slacks. So I identified a problem during the winter where sidewalks are icy and not everybody has put salt down. So wouldn't it be cool if I had a pair of pants that had salt in the hem and I could just sprinkle it out when I was walking along? So that's my I've found a problem, and that my customers are going to be people that are worried about that sort of thing, and I'm going to solve it for them. So get my drift, right? It's a problem. Not everybody's got it, but some people do, and they're looking for something to solve it, and I have an idea for them. Now I get to decide, how accessible am I going to be to these potential customers? And that's about my customer relationship development. And so we've got our little gift of our idea, and now we have our lovable relationship with our customers. And we've got to decide, how accessible am I going to be? How accessible is my business going to be to these people that I want to serve? I mean, am I going to be available 24/7, or am I going to have set business hours? And am I going to publish what those are? Am I only going to be available online, or am I only available in person in a brick and mortar? Do I give out people my cell phone number? Do I text with them? Do I email with them? These are all things that you, as the leader of your business, get to decide and tell your customers about. And then, because you're the one that's going to make it real. And you're the one that's got to decide how you're going to relate to those customers on your terms while serving their needs. And it's out of this clarity that you can also discern what kind of relationships you're going to build with your customers, and hopefully it will be one in which they'll refer new customers and allow you to build those relationships as well. I mean, I will tell you, as Dominique mentioned at the beginning, I work in an economic development organization in the Rogers Park community. And one thing that drives customers crazy is when a business says, we're open from 9 to 5, and they go to your business at 9 a.m. and there's nobody there. And there's a little sign in the window that says, sorry, not on Wednesdays. I forgot to put that on the website. So be clear respect your customers and yourself and really think through what are you going to be presenting to your customers so they know what to expect. So now we're going to look at customer segments. And I mean, I hate to be the one to tell you, but not everyone is your customer. They all should be. I know your ideas are amazing. I know your businesses are fantastic, but we got to drill down a little bit, because if everyone's your customer, then how are you going to reach them? So let's take a few minutes just to talk about customer segments. You really need to talk or think through for yourself, who are your customers? Think of my salty slacks. I mean, let's face it, I'm a senior citizen. People who have my problem with slick sidewalks are probably also seniors, or maybe they have some different ways in which they navigate the streets and need maybe some special assistance. So right away, I'm going to start thinking about my customers who really want this product, who really need it, who've got this problem that I want to solve. And I thought that through because I looked back at what my value proposition was, and I realized I'm solving problems for people who have a hard time walking on icy sidewalks. So let's think more about who those people could be and how they are similar, right? So customer segments are groups of individuals that are similar in specific ways, and it's especially helpful for marketing your business and thinking about what kind of accessibility do those customers need in terms of your time and availability. Back to those customer relationships we talked about just before now. Think about, is it an age related thing? Is it a gender related similarity? Are their interests the same? What about spending habits? Or maybe it's demographic. Depending on your business idea, you could identify various things that your customer segments would have in common that would enable you to do a better job of connecting with those customers. So, I mean, I like a lot of graphics, as you'll probably notice through this presentation. So think of it like just this simple little graphic, right? I make a sauce. Okay, in my case, I'm making salty slacks. All right, let's pretend it's a sauce. And then a lot of people like sauces. And it seems like they would all like my sauce, but they actually don't. The people that want my secret sauce are this little tiny purple area right here in the middle. And that's who I want to go for. That's my target market. And I identified that market by considering who are my segments. So once again, when you're thinking, I know I'm drumming into this customer segment thing quite a lot, but I think it's a critical point to really think through, who are you going to be serving with that business concept? The better you can identify who your customer is, the better it is for you to be able to access those customers and engage them. So along with the presentation, these are kind of some live links and a couple of ideas for where you might want to do some customer segment research, demographics research as well. Claritas has a zip code lookup function that I really like. If we have time at the end, I'll try and pull it up. The US Census used to have some great data. It does, but it's a little bit more challenging to get at than it used to be. But I still recommend taking a look at it. There are lots of other online resources, and places like small business development centers, which we host one of here at RPBA, have access to a lot of databases that can help you understand, learn about and understand customer segments and demographic information about, who your customers might be. I threw this in here. This is from a couple of years ago from Local IQ. Just a couple of ways of kind of exploring this idea of a target market and thinking through, well, what is she really talking about here? So what, everybody who wants to have pants that have salt fall out of the hems? How am I going to find them? But think it through. Like, in general, I think my target market is going to, steer a little bit more toward the older side. And so here we've got the conservative group. And if you'll see the demographics, primarily that age range is 64 to 75, 64 to 74 and up. That seems about right. And hey, look, they got a pretty good median income. They might be able to afford however much those pants are going to cost. They're not all that tech savvy though, so that means I'm going to have to think through how I'm going to reach them. And then, here's a little bit about lifestyle and media consumption, as opposed to this younger demographic over here. There aren't that many people that are seniors in this group. So maybe this is not my clientele. And, their median income's okay, but it's not as big as these guys. All I'm doing here is wanting you to take a look at, there's so much information about how people who might be your customers can be thought about and identified for you to be able to access in order to encourage them to become your client. So we've got the value proposition, the problem we're solving. We've identified how we're going to relate to our customers. We've started thinking about who those customers really are. And now we need to talk about channels. How and where are your customers going to find you? And how are you going to find and engage your customers? Well, you're going to do that through finding the right channels. So channels are things like, word of mouth. Sherry makes the best pants that have salt coming out of the hems of anybody. Advertising. Get your, like traditional advertising. Maybe my clients are more prone to read the Sun Times than they are to be on Facebook. What about a website? I could drive people to my website if people are using the internet. I included social media platforms here, which we'll look at just momentarily. And then think through, whoever that customer is, what channels make sense. So this graph kind of looks at social media platforms. And of course, everyone loves to use social media. Basically, it's generally free. I mean, of course, you can promote ads and pay for some higher placements and so on and so forth. But just wanted to give a quick look at the most popular social media platforms in 2023. Now, just because these are popular and they've got billions and millions and jillions of people on them, pardon me, doesn't necessarily mean that your customer is on one of those platforms. Think through who that customer is. Remember back to my conservative spenders there from a slide or two ago. They don't spend that much time on social media or on the internet. So maybe it really makes the most sense for me to, drilled into that clientele through print media, or maybe even a mailer. Who knows? I mean, you got to know who they are and how they are going to want to interact with you in order to effectively reach them. One of my favorite stories in this area was, I have a client who's selling end of life insurance policies, and we were having a consultation, and she was just beating herself up because she was not on Instagram. And I was like, your customers are not on Instagram, right? Your customers are potentially in nursing homes or in, some sort of care facility, or they're not on Instagram. So I'm not suggesting that in order to be successful, you need to be interacting with people on all these social media platforms, unless that's where your customers are. Again, this comes out of your research and knowledge of who you're serving with your value proposition. And now, of course, revenue. How are you going to make money? What are your customers going to pay you for? You've got to think that through. And let's just take a look at some ideas. So again, we're down here in the revenue stream area. You can tell because it's got a little money bag there. So here are some revenue streams for you to consider when you're thinking about your business. I think in general, when I first started working with businesses, all I was really thinking of was the transactional revenue, right? I made a water bottle. You want a water bottle, come and buy it, right? It's $1. And you give me $1 and I give you the water bottle. But you might want to consider that there are other revenue streams to build into the business model itself. Back to my Slacks, of course, you can buy them. What about project revenue? What if I've got, like, what if the Senior Olympics decides they want to have all of their gymnasts wearing my pants, right? So they hire me, and I put together a proposal, and I make special Slacks just for that one project. I get paid for it, I make money off of it, and it includes my time, my staff's time, the costs, and the goods it's going to take to complete the project. Or what about recurring revenue? Maybe my Slacks are, I come up with a new pair every 2 months, and you can only get them if you're a subscriber to my website and my product line. You get first pick, you get first dibs. I get your money in advance, and you get a pair of pants every couple of months. So think through, is there a way that you could build that into your business where maybe somebody's paying you in advance for, yeah, like a subscription. I guess I already used that word, but you get my idea, I'm sure. And then service revenue, maybe you want to teach, maybe you're going to teach a class. Maybe you're going to do a presentation. So it's not necessarily a project, but it's a specific service that a customer purchases. So these are just 4 ideas beyond transactional revenue that you might want to think of. How can I build these kinds of ideas into my business? Can I, should I, and how much will they all cost? All right, so I kind of like to think of this template as a front of stage and a back of stage, if you will. So think of being at, maybe you're at a play, and everything you've seen on stage is everything that we've talked about already, right? Everything that's customer facing. What is the problem you're solving? How do you interact with your customers? Who are they? And how do you find them? How do you communicate with them? And how do they pay you? So this is like, to me, this is like the fun part, right? You get to decide this cool stuff. You get to use the information to inform your business name, your branding, your marketing, your communication style. All this excitingly wonderful, fun, creative thinking. Unfortunately, we have to go behind the scenes now and go backstage to what is it going to take to make the business model actually work. So now we're over here backstage. The first thing we want to talk about is the key resources. Key resources are things and people that are under your control. And if you didn't have them, your business would not operate properly. It wouldn't be sustainable. It wouldn't be viable. So it can be things like, if you've got a physical space and you own the physical space, maybe it's the building that you operate out of, or maybe it's where you manufacture your product. Maybe it's your company cars or the machines that you own. In terms of human talent, maybe in my case, I got to have people that know how, what kind of fabric will really maintain that salt in the hem, and how is it going to come out, right? So that's a very unique capacity to understand, and I want to keep that in-house. I want to control what's happening with that because it's part of my brand, and so it's a key resource for my business. My intellectual property flows in there as well. The actual brand, any copyrights I might have or trademarks, any operational secrets, anything that has been developed around my business that has been developed by the business is intellectual property that is a key resource. And then, of course, your financial resource, any cash you might have on hand, lines of credit, your collateral, your assets. So these are all your key resources. You need to think through, even if you're at the very earliest stage of developing this business concept, maybe the only key resource you have is yourself and $50 in the bank. Those are key resources, and they're just as valid as, as any other. So you got to start somewhere, and that's where you're starting with your key resources. So here's just an example of, I used to direct a farmer's market. Here's one of my clients that was there, and their key resources are, they got a tent, they've got each other who had the ideas for these bespoke popsicles that they sell, they've got a cooler, they've got a baby, so their key resources are maybe not hugely, maybe the tent cost a couple $100, but it's still a key resource that they control. And the intellectual property from the recipes that they're developing is another key resource under their control. So it can be huge, or it can be, pretty basic. Still a key resource. Now, that being said, the next thing we need to take a look at are key partners. And these are external resources that are not under your control, but you've got to have them in order to operate. So think about like government agencies, suppliers, expert, that maybe, maybe there's like some service that maybe I decide I don't want to make my slacks in house. I'm gonna subcontract it out to somebody, and that's going to be a partner. It doesn't make sense for me to develop my own agency to get a business license, so I'm going to go to the government agency that's going to give me the business licensing that I need in order to operate. And then maybe there are other businesses that I source materials from. Maybe I decide I don't want to do accounting. I don't want to have an accountant in-house. I'm going to outsource it, or maybe bookkeeping or payroll. So key partners are resources that are outside of your business, but if you don't have them and it's inefficient for you to do it on your own. So key partners make sure that your business will work when it doesn't make sense for you to have it as a key resource. And you can always, as the business develops, you can pull more and more partners into the resource realm as you're able to maybe hire some additional staff or fill some of those needs from an internal resource position. But start off thinking of who those partners are going to be. You're always going to need licensing, and you're always going to need to be getting something from somebody else. So think through, what are the partnerships you need for that business model to work in order for you to move the business idea forward. So we've looked at the key resources that you're going to need, the internal resources, and your key partners who's external to your business but critical to its success. Now we're going to take a quick look at cost structure. So just a reminder or an alert that your cost structure is based on all the costs you incur to operate the business, your supplies, paying yourself, paying your staff, all your operations. And just a caution to remember that when you're delivering value and developing relationships, maintaining partnerships, generating revenue, it all incurs costs. And really be honest with yourself about how much all this is going to cost in order to operate the business. I have another client who's got a food-based business, and she was feeling guilty when she figured out how much every product she was making was going to sell for. In order to cover her costs, it was going to cost more than she thought the product was worth. So at that point, what do? I'll send you a worksheet that you can take a look at that can work for both startup and operating costs. I recommend that you always build yourself in your salary of what you believe that your salary should be. Honestly, I know that you may not be able to pay yourself for a while, but keep it in there and you know, keep those numbers real as you're developing the business and then operating the business too. So when you're setting that cost, when you're setting those prices, this is also an opportunity not only to really come up with an actual figure of what each product or service is going to sell for, but also to take a look around at the competition. So how much does your competition charge for a similar service or product if you do have competition? Are your costs going to be higher or lower than theirs? Which of your costs are the most expensive, and can you lower the costs without changing the business? And then simultaneously, what are the costs that are the most important? So if you're going to start an 100% organic restaurant that's farm to table, and all the food is going to be sourced from local farms, and it's going to cost your clients $125 to get a turkey sandwich, so be it. That's your model, that's your business. Those are your customers. If you change that farm to table concept, then you're changing the whole business structure, which you can do because you're in charge. Just think it through all the way to the end and just continue to make these decisions that are the right ones for your business in order for it to succeed and serve the customers that you've identified as yours. Now, this has been a ton of information, and I'm sure I've made it seem like hopefully somewhat enticing that you all maybe want to take a shot at this. But it's also overwhelming, right? You can spend forever on this, or you can spend an hour on it. It's your call. The idea is to get it going and get it started. And that's why I saved key activities for the end of this conversation. So what are your key activities? Well, guess what? Like everything else, you get to decide. I don't know what your best activities should be. Only you know what they are. And prioritizing key activities is hard, right? Because I know what it's like. You can see the whole picture. You can see, if you're in the visioning stage, you can see this whole business unfolding in its ultimate stage of success and realization. Or if you're in business now, you can see how you want to take the business and what it's going to look like at the end. And it can be so hard to go back to where you are today in order to get to that picture. But I really encourage you to try and think of things that you can do that are simple. I mean, I'm talking simple. Not, I'm going to reinvent the internet and build a website tomorrow. No. Easy peasy. They should be strategic, of course. But that's makes it sound like maybe more serious than I'm actually trying to be. Measurable, like I did it, I didn't do it. Attainable, same thing. Relevant, it's not like I needed to find out what color the sky was and instead I went for a swim in the ocean. Relevant to what you're doing. Time bound, you want to get it done. And I'm saying you want to decide a couple, 3 things that you can do and get them done this week to take you on your path to the next step. Of course, I'm sure you're all going to think that I'm going to say do the business model canvas template, but I'm not. If you want to, I think that would be great. And I encourage you to give it a shot to see if it helps frame your ideas and get some of these thoughts down on paper that are just rambling around in your brain right now, driving you and everybody else around you crazy. So here's some simple key activity ideas that other clients of mine have done over the years. My number one is my all-time favorite. I had one guy, he was like, I'm going to build a website. I'm like, no, that's too complex. I'm going to get 20 new customers. No, that's too, he was a realtor. No, that's too much for 1 week. Thinking and thinking, he finally says, you know what? I think my outgoing voicemail message still says the name of the last business that I worked for. I don't think it says my current business. I don't even know if it has my name in it. I'm going to check my outgoing voicemail message to see what it says. I'm like, yeah, that is what I am talking about. That is a key activity that you can get done today. Here's another idea. Maybe if you aren't in business yet and you're trying to decide what your business name will be, maybe just do a quick Google search and type in the business name idea. How many hundreds of other businesses have a similar name? If there aren't that many, cool. If there are 10 million, maybe you want to rethink the order of the words. Maybe you want to go to a named, business name generator website. Maybe you want to ask AI to give you some ideas. But just start by finding out. Maybe there's none. Or maybe it's a small enough number that some simple search engine optimization, once you get your website up and running and you have your domain name purchased and stuff, that makes your business name be good. But find out first how many other people have had the same business name on their mind and are findable on Google. Just count them. Target market research. Oh, doesn't that sound ever so overwhelming? Guess what? It really means ask a friend or a family member how much they would pay for your product or service idea. And do they even like the idea? Like I'm going to ask Dominique, how much would you pay for my salty slacks? She might say, what? I don't need no salty slacks. I don't need salty slacks. But she might say, oh my God, I would pay $250 for a pair of slacks like that. And I'm not going to know unless I ask her. And it's scary to ask people you don't know. So start by asking a friend or a family member what's their take. Soon they will want you to stop talking to them about your business. But while the iron's hot, get that market research from a family or friend while you still can before you have to start turning out, kind of face outward to the community at large. So those are just some simple key activity ideas. I hope you all have some very simple ones in mind that you can do too, that you can get done. And if we were in class together in one of my normal sessions with Grow, I would literally make you all tell me right now, what are the 3 things you are going to do this week and then next week? And then I would email you what you said you were going to do. And then next week you would tell me exactly what you did. And if you didn't do those 3 things, you have to tell me why. And you have to tell me what you did instead. And sometimes, in the heat of the moment, a key activity that makes sense when you're on the spot actually does transform into something that's more relevant and realistic and necessary for the business development. But anyway, just thought I'd let you know that I am going to ask you how things go with your key activities. So next steps, of course, I know you're all going to be chomping at the bit to get to that business model canvas template as soon as you get it from us and plug in your best thoughts on the value proposition and all the related building blocks that we've talked about today, and that you're going to identify how your business is going to relate to all of them. And if everything works, that is great. And if there's a gap, like say, let's go back to that farm to table restaurant idea. If it turns out that you realize that for maybe your customers and your market, $100 turkey sandwich doesn't make sense, maybe you have to go back to the value proposition and decide, I need to adjust this in some way to make my business work better for myself and for the customers that I have identified. So that's the great thing about the template, right? You can just, shred it when you're done if it doesn't work, or you can keep it for that great American novel that you're going to write. So I encourage you all to keep deciding, keep creating. Please do if you've identified even one key activity, feel free to shoot me an email. Let me know how it goes. Take a stab at the startup cost worksheet in addition to, of course, the business plan itself. And ideally by the end of the week, it's Wednesday, you will have a 1-page business plan that you can use to guide you as you refine, renew, develop your business and become, make it the success that it's intended to be. Please feel free to reach out not only to the source. If you haven't already, sign up to be a client. We'll hook you up with consultants and other referral resources that you might need in order to keep things moving forward. You are welcome to be in touch with me. There I am in my office where I am today, here in Rogers Park, even though I'm far away from where you may be. Zoom and telephones and texting and emailing, because I'm available to my customers in all those ways, are great ways for us to connect and stay in touch. And again, thank you to all of our friends and neighbors who support the work that we do. And thank you all so much for being here. If you have any questions, I would be glad to answer them. And thank you so much. Thank you, Dominique, Mercedes, and Valeria.
Thank you, Sherry. That was great. I was hoping you were going to ask them to give you some key activities. Like we
Oh,
have
I
like
would love
10
to. I
minutes.
just
Like
didn't
if
know how far I could
anyone,
go.
you could go as far as you want. If anyone has any key activities that you would like to maybe state, you could put in a question and answer.
Yeah,
Um,
and feel free to copy. You know, like my son's voicemail for a million years said, "This is XYZ. I don't respond to voicemail, so don't leave me a message." I was like, that is a great way to get a job, dear.
you know what? I'm so glad you tapped on voicemail. So I used to be a serial entrepreneur, and I taught a class many years ago on how to start a business with no money. So what I did was I wrote out a script, and I had my auntie speak on the script, and I made it seem like I was this huge corporation with all these different lines, and she had this beautiful voice everybody loved. So I was like, "Hello, thank you for reaching. Da, 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 da. Please dial beep for this." And I mean, I had the whole shebang going. You did not know that I was a one-person team. Everything, like, you have to think in that mindset. I always thought bigger, and I just want to pinpoint when Sherry stated that you all need to do your name, check your name. That is really, really important, because what you all have to understand in this digital age, when you pull a name that someone else has and someone Googles you, they're going to go to the person that's the top of Google, which might not be you. So that person is going to get your clientele thinking that it's you, and you just lost money. So it's really important that you check these names, do the research on your company, do the research on your name, make sure that, as she stated, everybody doesn't have it, is not, really popular, because when you have a name, that's the domain you have to purchase as well for your website. And as a website developer, I used to be, you want the .com. You don't want the .com, like everyone, no one's really going to use those. They're going to the .com, which is at the top of Google. You're going to have to get a lot of Google Analytics to get you from the bottom to the top to be on top of whoever your competition is. So I always think competition, I always be one step ahead. I always think about how to make yourself, like, that was just my thing. I was always teaching people how to look bigger than what they were. So I love that the phone voicemail. I promise you. And guess what? I had a free Google number. It was a free Google number, but nobody knew.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, that's the other thing, right? Is that, of course, this could sound like it's all going to cost you $1 million. And, if the other half of the session that I just presented is about, how do you go about doing this when you're going to bootstrap this business, or whether you're in business or launching. I don't want anybody going broke getting this business going. So
Yes.
those free Google numbers, or thinking of, maybe the revenue stream, maybe
Yes.
people have to pay you in advance before they get your service. Like, I've had people really, with wonderful ideas, but they are feeling like they've got to start by renting a place. Oh, I want to start a roller rink, and it's only going to cost me $10,000 a month to rent it. And I'm like, holy cow. Well, do you have $10,000 a month? Eventually it turned out the guy had 20 bucks in his pocket. And I was like, okay, start with the meetup at the beach. If people have roller skates, will they meet you there? Can you
Right.
form a club? Like, start small. Like, maybe they all get a popsicle that, for 10 bucks, and you take them on a skate somewhere. So build it up so that it's affordable for you as you develop this concept, and try it out, see what people think. So anyway, I could go on, and I have no idea if
I think
people have
you have
questions.
something in the question and answer.
Oh, one question. Okay, nice. Let's have it.
Yeah, we have one question from Kanisha Jones, and they asked to identify 10 places to share my business information.
I think this was one of their key activities. I think they were just
Oh,
sharing
got
what
it.
their key
Okay.
activities
Could you
were
say
for
it
the
again,
week.
Mercedes?
Sorry, but I think Valeria is clarifying. This was their key activity that they're sharing, identifying 10 places that they are going to share their business information.
That's great. So identify the places, figure out what you're going to take there, and then do 5 of them. You know, like I don't want you to beat yourself up if you don't get the whole list done. If you've got stuff ready to go, I think that's great.
That is
If you've got to
great.
develop stuff, then maybe it's decide where you're going to take it, then decide what they're going to take, and then, but yeah, that's great.
I have a question. I would say, at what point would you advise small business owners that might already have a business plan, to reevaluate their business plan and
Mhm.
change it?
Good question.
I mean, I think everybody's a bit unique. If you've never done an exercise like the Canvas template, I would say it's worth it just to affirm that you've thought through these things for yourself, right? If you can fill that thing out in 10 minutes, that's great. If you can't, then maybe take some time to figure out what are the gaps that you have. And then I will say that in general, I mean, the most intense story I can tell you is I have one client who has taken every grow session. I do them twice a year, and every progressando session. She's bilingual. We do them twice a year. She's done them both twice a year for 7 years. And the first thing we do is what you guys just saw. And she says every time we go through that process, she finds another element that she's not thought about, or another a tweak that she could make to something that she never thought about before. And basically, I think what she's really saying is it makes her have that opportunity. It allows her the opportunity to stop working in the business, even if it's just for an hour, and take that kind of like higher look from above down at the business itself to say, I'm going to work on you for this hour, right? And I'm going to think about, again, what is my value proposition? Who are my customer? Reassess this whole thing, take herself out of the day-to-day, just to give the freedom for the business to breathe a little bit and to get that leadership attention from the visionary whose idea this is, whose baby this is. And also sometimes to also see maybe it's time to walk away. Maybe it's time, if you've been in business for a while and it's getting old and you see opportunities for growth that you're not interested in, maybe it's time to take that opportunity to sell. This is an asset that you're developing. I mean, this is like, to me, developing a business, really wealth generation for the long term. And we saw so many businesses walk away during the pandemic because they couldn't, it was just overwhelming on so many levels. And there was
Yeah.
never that moment of being able to elevate out and look down and say, this is what I can do. This is how I can pivot. This is what my clients need now. So I think it's an ongoing cycle of renewal and refreshing your concept.
That was great. Thank you. You helped me pivot. So exactly what you're
Nice.
stating. Yes. I mean, a lot of businesses in COVID was not able to stay open because of exactly what you're saying. They could not do a forward view. They didn't know how to transition. They weren't able to shift. They didn't have organizations like we have now, which is why the source has been developed to sit down with them to help them build out that next concept plan for their business, so that instead of them going under, they could have just shifted and, like the businesses we're serving now, go to the next level. We got you out of survival and now you're shifting and now you're growing and now you're expanding. And so that is exactly why we do the work that we do here at the source. This is why business advisors are needed. So if you haven't tapped into the source, please do. Sherry gave us her information. You all can reach her that way. Set up an appointment. We are not competing with each other. I don't care if you work with her or one of our other partners, but if you need assistance with your small business, definitely make sure you schedule a free one-on-one advising coaching session where they can help you think through your business plan, help you think through the concepts of your small business, where you are now and where it is you're trying to take it, and the best way for you to get there. So as we close, we thank you for joining our webinar Wednesday. Join us for our next session on June 26th. We will be hosting Think Like a CFO, Business Financial Fundamentals for small businesses, kind of showing you how to get bank ready and things of that nature. And that will be hosted by the Southland Development Association. Same time, same place, 10 a.m. 11 to 11 here on Zoom with me and the small business team of Cook County Small Business. So may you all have a wonderful Wednesday, and I hope to see you all next month. Have a good one. Thank you so much, Sherry. Have a wonderful day. Thank
Thanks,
you all.
everybody.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.